my cooking abilities. They have shaped up so well that
I'm
I
sure
like to
your mom's
embrace
gonna listen to
my.
this and be like, ah, yeah, we
Yes,
know you know
yes.
it's tough to cook. Hey folks, welcome along to the Gradlife Podcast, where we talk to people who've been there and done that in grad school. On today's chat, we're going to talk to Abhinav Shankar, a good friend of mine from the MS Information Systems program at the University of Cincinnati. He is originally from Mumbai, got a bachelor's degree in electronics and telecom from the University of Mumbai, currently works at a leading IT consulting company as a lead analytics professional. So without further ado, let's jump in. Hi, everyone. Nice to finally be back on the chat, back to talking, back to asking questions. This evening is going to be a fun evening. I've been looking forward to this for a little bit. One of my good friends, Abhinav Shankar, is going to be on the call, is going to be sharing with us his experiences, his journey through grad life. He is a graduate of Masters in Information Systems, graduated in December 2018, so not too long ago. And I'm very curious to see how his transition has been from grad life to real life now, but even more so, what was his journey like during grad school? So, Abhinav, what's up? How you doing?
Hey Sid, good evening. Thank you so much for this invitation to be
Pleasure's mine, dude. Pleasure's mine.
on your podcast, and it really feels well. I think so to traverse down the memory lane to
Mm-hmm.
understanding where you were yesterday and to how you're doing today. So I
Yep.
think it would really help me relive those memories back as a working professional, re-entering a student life, waging through all different ways, and then again back to professional life. So thank you for this opportunity. Really looking forward
Absolutely.
to having.
Absolutely. I guess let's start at the very beginning. When or paint a picture for me.
Sure.
When was the first time you thought about grad life, thought about grad school? Um, what was going through your mind? What made you want to pick masters in information systems?
Sure. So I think during my undergrad engineering in electronics and telecommunication, I was kind of looking to take my education further or at least have some industry experience into it. But you know how campus placements work in India. You
Hmm.
don't actually get into the field of what you want and
Yep.
what you desire for. So I landed up an IT consulting job.
Hmm.
And that's when my approach towards having a master's totally changed. So after having worked for 3 years, I thought if there's something that I could combine my undergrad experience as well as the work experience together and go ahead, I think information systems really helped me a lot. Like, and
Hmm.
especially I focused on UC because the curriculum was still very technical.
Hmm.
Usually people have an understanding that MSIs is a very management oriented subject, and you usually when you're tired of coding or you don't want to be technical anymore in life, that's when you go and do. But UC had a different approach to it, so they kept the course very technical. We'll
Hmm.
get back to the flex system again.
Yep.
That was a shock, a root shock, but definitely, yeah. So that was one of its experience for me, and that's when I chose that. Okay, this is going path ahead forward. This is the one for me. So
Sweet. Let's take the steps back a little bit. So you said that you had worked for 3 years before you got into grad school.
yeah.
What made you want to work right after your undergraduate student life, and why did you choose not to go to grad school right after undergrad?
Oh, for me, I was always a fan of having the industry experience before to
Hmm.
understand like what I do want to do a specialization in. So it's not that I had everything decided. Plus, there were some financial constraints as well. So
Hmm.
to and the I feel personally that the happiness of doing something on your own after having evaluated what you're good for, how you can approach education again. So I
Hmm.
think all those things that little bit gap of 3 years really taught me well, and I was again re-energized to start studying again. So yeah.
So go if you were to do things again, you would do the same thing. You wouldn't get into grad school right out of undergrad.
No,
Not that there's a
definitely not.
right or a wrong way to do it, to each their own, but you would think
Each
that
their own.
what you did was the right thing for you to do.
I think that's the piece of advice that I'm giving my younger brother as well. As he wraps up his engineering, he's in his final year. I have suggested him, go ahead and do at least have a 1 year or 2 year of work experience. So you will either realize what you need to do or what you don't need to do. And in
Fair
that
enough.
way, you can pursue the masters accordingly. You
Hmm.
don't have to just be like a herd mentality and jump after right after your education, either that way or any which way. Like you said, there's nothing right or wrong to it, so it's up to you, your choice. So
Sweet.
everyone is doing really well.
Fair enough. Now, before we get into your life in Cincinnati, life at UC, tell us about where you're from and what's the one thing that people listening to us have to know about your hometown.
Sure. So I'm from Mumbai, Maharashtra in India,
Hmm.
and it's the West Coast. uh yeah, it's Mumbai is a city of dreams and it never sleeps. There are lots of anecdotes that go hand in hand with Mumbai, and for me personally, like the hustle bustle and everything,
Hmm.
the space at which the city works is really, I cannot imagine. I have never imagined staying away from it, having been so used to it that I still miss it a lot.
Hmm.
But yeah, there is that spirit that it has inculcated in me, where like never say never and always chase your dreams. So I think, yeah, there's a part of the city always in you that keeps continuing. So I think
Fair
that's
enough.
the specialty of Mumbai.
Nice. What was that transition like from living in a city that's busy, city that probably never sleeps, to something that's not as busy? I mean, Cincinnati, I tell people that it's got a good mix of there's enough going on, plus there's enough downtime for you to sit down and study and focus on what you're here to do if
Yep.
you're here in grad school. Now, what was that transition like from coming from a very busy city to a place where you don't have much to do except for just stay on campus, get your stuff done. But outside, when you step off campus, it's nowhere close to being as busy as it was
Definitely.
it
Yep.
was back home.
Think initially, my initial days, I used to have trouble falling asleep as well. Like the calmness and the serenity in the atmosphere in and around it was like, and when you look out of the windows, there's no one walking around your society or a building, and so it feels very odd initially, but that was a change I welcomed. And right now, I stay in a much more smaller city, Columbus,
Hmm.
Indiana. So that is
Hmm.
again much more quieter compared to. And I was shocked to see that there's no Uber or Lyft in this part of town. So it's
Ooh,
like it's a very
okay.
small town. So I think Cincinnati was really, it really bridged the gap for me. Like it wasn't like you said, it was the perfect mixture of having a busy life at the same time having a secluded one. Depending to
Hmm.
each one, it caters to everyone's need. Like the downtown
Yep.
was very close; you could easily access it from our university town. The university campus was always buzzing around with
Oh
people.
yeah, that it was.
But yeah, I think the areas around the Clifton, Calhoun Street. So I think it always it balanced it out well. And I know the walk to Forum Apartments back, which you surely not agree, and you have tried to guide us the right way. But yeah,
No, I have my own preferences, but
yeah.
we'll
So
keep that for a
definitely,
different chat. But
yeah,
so okay, so
definitely.
you've now moved from um, having worked back home for 3 years to getting to grad school. What was that transition like, especially given the fact that you have a lot of folks that are going to be studying with you now? All of a sudden, you are a part of this close knit community, because I know the IS folks tend to have a lot of classes together. Now you're forced to work on group projects together. You're forced to attend seminars and webinars together. I know that a lot of folks used to live in pretty much the same apartment complex. What was that feeling of community like?
Uh, I think so. It was really good from one perspective. It has its pros and cons,
Hmm.
like the international student experience that you're out to get your experience the campus life to its full ability potential. I think that's something that you surely lack, but given the pace of the course,
You hardly have
you
time to do anything
yeah,
outside of the
well,
course.
outside of course and anything, you needed that mental support or of your
Hmm.
friends, and like you speak the same language, having the same
Right.
like-mindedness in and around you. I think that was the close-knit family, like you spoke, was really very strong in the information system. And I have seen it over different batches, like right from being a part of it and for being a senior for a couple of other batches. It's really, it does bring people together, and
Hmm.
they tend to stick together even after the course is done. So that's really something that's been very helpful and kind of this course. But yeah, the downside of is that you don't experience much of the international
Student life, right? Fair
life.
enough. Fair enough. Well, which we'll, I'm assuming, get to that in just a bit. But um, so overall, I guess, what was your experience on campus like? What was your university life like? Now, I personally grew up watching a lot of movies and TV shows, and I had a rough idea of this is exactly what it's going to be when I go start grad school. I don't know if you had any preconceived ideas, notions that this is what it's going to be like, but it's totally different or totally same, or it's a little bit of both. What was your experience as far
Um,
as proper student life in the US goes?
Definitely, I think, yeah, watching up, growing, like watching different movies and everything. And Cincinnati is being ranked as one of, it has one of the beautiful campuses across
Oh yeah.
the globe. So it does. So I was really looking forward to spending more time on the campus, like
Hmm.
having a book or something, laying down on the grass and experiencing all those picturesque imaginations I really did have. But I think the answer to this question lies in what the flex system did to us, the number of credits that it did to
Well,
us.
jump in. For the folks that do not know what the flex system was, I'll let Abhinav explain what it was in his own terms.
So, in during our undergraduate, we had 1 year of engineering, and that was broken
Hmm.
into 2 semesters. I think that's the same thing that applies here, but the semester itself is broken into two flexes. So we had a 7 week crash course. So when you join MSIS, you do a 4 7 week crash courses of different subjects, and believe me, there are 40 credits, and each have, it's a 2 credit system. So you cram up literally 20 subjects together. So, and when I spoke about this to a couple of mentors before coming, joining to UC, they said 20 subjects is crazy. What are you going to do? How are you going to manage? I'm like, I've signed up for it.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Yep.
Let's see how things, but yeah, I think the flex system really helps us in that way to manage
Hmm.
your
Helps you stay
workload.
focused.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes always. Like you cannot take a moment of break or anything. You can, not that 24/7 it demands your attention, but yeah, there's
Hmm.
something or the other, the assignments and the exam. So each 7 weeks, so in that way, so you never know like how time flies by.
True. So, is it fair to say that what one would study for one semester someplace else, you had to, or let me put it this way, you had to do 2 semesters worth of work in one semester?
Definitely,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Right. Okay. Um, Given the fact that the education system that you'd been a part of back in India was very different, what was that transition like? And did being a part of this close-knit community help?
Yeah, definitely it helped me a lot. The like people, students, like they had different backgrounds, they had their own strengths. So interacting with them, learning from their strengths and contributing as a team, as a project member, really helped me evolve. But the one thing, this is a very funny incident I recollect. I had this discussion with my mom. So like,
Hmm.
you are, when you ask like how was the change from being a student in India to being a student in America, so or at UC. So I was talking to her about this one particular subject, financial accounting, and I said that,
Hmm.
oh mom, I think so I didn't really do well, and instead of an A, I'm going to get an A minus in the subject. It was just a random conversation because it was not even a technical subject from my perspective.
Hmm.
And she was really concerned. She was like, oh, what does that mean? Like A minus, like would it be around 70, 75? I'm like, oh no, it's still going to be above 90, but it's just that it's not going to be above 93. And she was shocked looking at me. Son, you come from a very modest background. Like I know your engineering scores, your undergrad scores. So this is like, don't even think about like what you're cribbing about right now or something. So I think this is a template for most of the students who come from
Mm-hmm.
India to here. Somehow something happens and they surely do well in the exams. Maybe it's the pattern, or it's not a rote learning method that these universities follow. So it's more about your practical application. You
Mm-hmm.
can choose the electives and subjects that you are interested in much more. So your strengths come to the foreground, and that surely helps. So I would definitely suggest anyone that they have to experience this education system compared to what they do back.
So you would recommend that people go through the flex
No, no,
system?
no, 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 not that
Oh,
way.
joy. Okay, just
No,
just the
it's a
American education system and not
education,
necessarily the
not the
flex
flex
term.
system. So
Okay.
it depends upon this flex system. So a 1 year course, if that's what, like, MSIS caters to different working age population, like
Mm-hmm.
whether you're a fresh grad or you have been 7 years. We had a team classmate who was 7 years into the work experience. So
Mm-hmm.
for him, spending 2 years again would not make sense, and then
Fair
coming
enough.
back to working life. So
Fair
this was
enough.
a 12-month course and a 9-month course with a 6 months co-op. So I think and there are people who look at the return on investment and the time they spend on studying again, and they can get back to work. So there's a lot of things that contribute towards your decision making.
Mm-hmm.
So experiencing a flex or not a flex shouldn't really matter to you once you've decided to take the plunge.
Mm-hmm. Fair
But
enough.
the education system, definitely one must
So
experience.
so all of a sudden you're a part of this rigorous method of getting things done. What was your motivation to stay on track? So essentially what I'm trying to understand is what kept you going despite the fact that things were so hands-on, things were so
Yeah,
hectic, I guess.
I think for me, my whenever I was a bit low in my life or whenever I fell down, my go-to movie was always Lion King from 1994,
Oh, okay.
and the motto is
Classic.
Hakuna Matata. So I think,
Hmm.
yeah, I follow it everywhere. Like, it means no worries, but it's very difficult to implement in real life.
Fair
So
enough.
I'm trying to learn as well, but as my best friend, she used to say, like, do not worry about things that are beyond your control.
Hmm.
And the life in US definitely teaches you that there are many other
Right.
external factors that control how you're going to lead or wake up the next day. So it's like, and then there's an like immeasurable amount of worry that keeps creeping in, like being finding a job or when will you graduate, the visa problems. There's a lot of stuff that we cannot like uh there's no end to it. But the thing is that, yeah, some things are beyond your control. So that is the only motto, like, have no worries. But yeah, that's not possible, but don't worry about things that are beyond your control. So I think that really helped me make my way through the, yeah, studying
So
for
Hakuna
exams.
Matata kept it classic,
Yeah,
kept it to classic Disney. So that's what got you going through
yeah,
grad
that's
school.
fine. So that,
Nice. Um, Now, given all that, when were you the happiest throughout? Well, I guess throughout the initial 9 month period, and then throughout the entire journey of
the
being a
happiest
grad
day
student.
has been the day I took my grad walk, the convocation. Yeah,
Like, oh, good riddance, done. No more assignments, no more homework.
no,
Was that the
exactly.
case?
Like, the tassel what the hassle, like they used to say. So I think that's when all your dreams and everything, it kind of culminated into a fruitful happening. And yeah, being at this kind of environment or culture, not being present during your undergrad days, seeing the
Hmm.
entire stadium filled up with all graduates and people, and yeah, I think their parents, family, you walking through collecting your degree, I think that's a moment, uh really, yeah, that felt
That was
surreal.
totally worth it, right?
Yeah. And like, yeah, if I have a regret anything, is that just that my parents couldn't attend that ceremony in person.
Hmm.
Yeah, virtual. These days I think everything, life has gone completely
Everything's
virtual, so
virtual, yes. Yep.
streaming and everything is possible. But yeah, that would be one of the regrets, that they couldn't see it in person. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's been the happiest day in my life.
Nice, nice.
And one more thing that
Yeah,
I
sure, go on.
want to is, like, I remember writing even in my SOP that why did you choose Cincinnati? It's like that I'll get an opportunity to see Federer live in action. So, and I think it felt,
I had saved that question for a later point, but since you
oh,
mentioned
okay.
it, jump in. No, 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 jump in, jump in.
Yeah, so I think 2018, Cincinnati did that bit of favor to me as well, seeing him live in a finals, I think, yeah, that was a dream come true as well.
So, I'll give you a hypothetical situation. So you're in undergrad, and you're like, oh, I haven't thought about grad school yet. Then you go into your work mode, and you work for 3 years, and you're like, ah, okay, I'll maybe someday look at grad school and eventually move to the US to get a graduate degree. At that point, did you even closely consider that you were going to be in town? We were going to have Cincinnati Open, and you would have a chance to watch Roger Federer
Definitely, definitely.
play.
I think starting
So this
2000.
was always a part of the plan.
Oh, yeah, this was always a part of the
Okay,
plan.
okay.
Cincinnati did make the cut of, like, because only solely because this was a very major factor. Being a huge Federer fan since 2008, and that's when. So definitely, I think so. It's not that I started or I planned to take masters during my work life or something back in India. It was always a plan that, but eventually, which stream would I
Mhm.
choose? That was always a
That's
question.
what. Okay, okay.
So, and I think so. Cincinnati had some brownie points because I knew that, and he was pretty good. Like, be it 2012 or 13, all those during that years, he was the reigning champion in Cincinnati, the Western, Southern, and Open. So I was like, definitely, if this is something,
So
I
so
should
you
take
had
it.
already known about Cincinnati and Cincinnati Open before you
Yeah,
moved here.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's not something I hear from a lot of international students, but hey, I'm glad that things worked out. Um, so so you were hella busy. You had coursework and then assignments and then exams. Whatever limited downtime you had, if you had any downtime, what did you do? How did you, so to speak, blow off some steam, if you will?
So being hanging out with friends and spending time with them, that goes without saying that you
Hmm.
definitely need that connect beyond a curricular environment. Like, that's when you get to know each other better. But besides that, I'm more of a person who like to read a lot of books.
Right.
But having been through so many subjects, I thought those 9 months I literally took a break from reading any other books. Besides, like, I couldn't, my eyes
Yeah,
couldn't
information systems. Yeah.
take more of it. So the one thing that I'm really glad I could continue even after coming here is playing the violin.
Hmm.
So I made it a point to the teaching assistantship role helped me save a few bucks and also helped me get a violin here. And
Nice.
ever since 2017 December, I'm under the tutelage of my elder brother. So it's been something that it helped me make my way even through those the spring semester. Basically, that's when I resumed my classes, and ever since through the pandemic and everything, and even whilst coming to a new place. So I think playing the violin has really helped me calm my nerves and at
Nice.
least learn something new every week. So
I'm curious to know your perspective on the importance of arts, because I know a lot of people out there are like, hey, especially the system that people like you and I grew up in. It's good if you know how to play an instrument, but there's not a whole lot of emphasis on, hey, you should learn this because it's going to help in various ways. Because it's usually either you're an engineer or you're a doctor, and if not, hey, I don't know what you're doing in your life sort of situation. But when you move here to Cincinnati, they have a whole
this
college
the
that teaches
CCM,
you
yeah,
music. So,
definitely.
what are your thoughts on learning arts overall and being able to have the ability to play an instrument, at least to be able to blow off some steam as a stress buster, if not to be able to do it even more so?
Yeah, I think that's it's a must for everyone, irrespective of the walk of life you choose, whether you're a doctor, engineer, or anyone for that person. You need to know, and not only like play an instrument. It's any art that you take up that helps you reconnect with a different version of yourself, be
Fair
it
enough.
doing a stand-up comedy or anything like blogging, anything. But I think that helps you discover your hidden potentials, and like you said, it helps you calm your nerves, blow off your steam. And I think this is something that should be inculcated even right from childhood, like some people do, but the pressure is so much that, oh, they got to prove themselves. Like, if you pick up a violin, then you have to be so and so person in this field, or else you're, that's not what it's supposed to. I'm still an amateur. I consider myself an amateur, but it's something that it gives me an happiness. Like,
Right.
every alternate day you practice something, yeah, you go into a different world. So that's how the approach should be like.
As
If
long as you enjoy doing what
enjoy
you're
it,
doing,
yeah,
you're good. Yes.
good, good.
Okay.
And an
Okay.
art is necessary. Seriously, yeah, I would really encourage to pick up anything of your choice.
Sweet, sweet. Going back to the tight knit group that you were a part of. Now, given the fact that you were a part of a large Indian student contingent, I'm sure you would have had made a lot of friends, or either just acquaintances, or ended up making to your support system. What about the friends that the friends that you made who were not from India? And what did you value the most from this diversity that you had in your grad school?
Uh, I think it has to be their sense of inclusiveness
Mhm.
and the readiness to adapt us or having a warm welcome. I think through my course, I couldn't really make a very handful of friends that we had. It was like more of heading their way for Thanksgiving parties and everything. And that's how you get to know the culture that you are in at the same time, inviting them over and everything.
Mhm.
So that was a good aspect. But then, since I stayed back in the city and close to the university, even after I graduated, that's when I started getting involved more in the activities that are hosted by the Indian student associations and everything.
Mhm.
And there, when I see the domestic students and various international students coming and taking part, and like their eagerness to be a part of this culture and experience it, I think so. Maybe it's the food that made them come to the occasion, or
Yep. And food brings
dressing up
people
for,
together regardless, so
definitely,
might
yeah,
as well. Yep.
or dressing up for the occasion. So all these things, I think so. That is something I really enjoyed, and I wish, like, yeah, had I been a part of much more 2 year course or a longer one, definitely I would have loved to experience that part of it more. But nevertheless, I had my fair share, and I think it's been a good experience so far.
So no regrets, but you would have liked to have enjoyed the campus life a little more.
Definitely, definitely.
Well, if I can dig into that a little bit more, if that's okay, what part did you feel like you missed out on? Because it sounds like you eventually got to be a part of these events on campus. Sure, maybe not so much when you were a student, but I guess in a certain way you were lucky enough to still be in the university area that you were still able to attend a bunch of these events on campus. But having said that, is there something specific that you feel like you missed out on when you were a student? Or
Uh,
something that you think you could have done more of when you were a student?
yeah, I think so. The one thing is that when you spend more time in a program or a coursework, so the initial jobs that you do is not very education or study related. Like for
Mhm.
MSIS, whatever we did was directly related to a teaching assistantship or an
Right.
RA. So again, for that, you see the same people. For me, luckily, I was teaching a lot of students who were in their sophomore years, and yeah, first year, who was planning to, like, there were people from sports medicine and everyone who were interested in analytics. So that
Mhm.
again increased my exposure with international community and more of the domestic students. So having said that, but over a period of a longer course, you take up on campus jobs where you interact with different people, like working at a dining service or Starbucks. No, there are people from my classes who did that, although for a very short period of time. But those kind of unique experiences, I think so, they help you develop certain aspects.
Mhm.
And you being a part of some clubs or groups which comes together to host different events, and I think I really wanted to be a part of the organizing committee.
Fair
I
enough.
know that I might be sounding like, oh, I wanted to do it but I didn't. So if you want to do it, surely there is a way out. I'm not saying denying
But
that, if
there
but
has to be a good mix of priorities and
right, true,
responsibilities
yeah,
and, hey, I want to have
yeah,
fun.
fun,
So,
yeah,
and I guess to a certain extent, MSIS students, is it fair to say that do not have the luxury of picking between both of them? But on the flip side of it, on the other side of the table, once you're done with your student life, there's a huge upside to
yes,
having
true,
gone through all that,
yeah.
because hey, you're doing a bunch of fun stuff, you're traveling for work, you're making a lot of money. So it's okay that you missed out on student life a little bit, but coming from the international student perspective, you're like, dude, I wish I could have been a part of this and
Definitely.
that.
I think this is kind of because most of the students have already worked for some time back
Yep.
home. So
Mm-hmm.
for them, they don't regret much. But if it's a fresh undergrad student who's coming
Mm-hmm.
directly and he gets tangled up in this 9 month course or something, then definitely he would miss out on a lot of stuff. So
Yep.
that's something like you have to take with a pinch of salt, I would say. So it's each one has their own preference, and there is a pro and cons to everything, so
Fair
it's up
enough.
to us. Yeah.
Fair enough. When you were talking about all this, you also mentioned the fact that you finally had a chance to dress up and attend these events. What's one event that you vividly remember having some really good fun at?
It's my graduation ceremony for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, like
You,
I went like shopping. So we had this Friday seminar as a part of the MSI's curriculum, and I remember I picked up just two suits, and they were like coming from India. I was like, okay, fine. I'm not sure they need to be reused again and again to something that you don't want to. You want it to be long lasting, but not that you spend a lot of money on that. But
hmm.
for the graduation, I really took a lot of efforts in um trying to find the right combination, speaking with different people,
Hmm.
understanding what's the trend, picking up a very. I went with an orange tie, I think so. That really stood
I
apart.
remember that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep. So was this blue and
yeah,
an orange combination?
yeah.
Yeah.
Blue and
Okay.
orange
So I remember.
combination.
I think we talked about that
Yes,
just
I did
before
reach out
graduation.
to
Yeah.
you as well, so I think so. We had that discussion, and I think it really the pictures definitely say so. I think you edited a couple of
Nice.
pictures for me as well. So the best dressed occasion surely has to be my
The graduation.
grad wash. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So having been through all that, is there anything that you would look back and change? Is there anything that you would do different given the fact that you only had 9 months on campus?
Uh, think no, I wouldn't change anything in particular. The one thing that I've learned so far is that change is the only thing that is constant, and we have to
Fair
be
enough.
ready to accept it. So one thing is that like uh, for example, if you take the TV show Friends, like every time, like it's one of my favorite shows, and every time I watch it, I watch each and every episode with a different perspective, and you relate to some part of it, like when you were 2 years, you were just entering grad life, or now when you're staying alone, like in the surrounded by this pandemic and everything. That's something. So everything, your perspective about the entire show changes, and that happens with most of our favorite movies, favorite TV shows, anything, or favorite books. So I think in particular, we don't have to change anything about ourselves, but it's just the fact that we have to accept change is constant. Like, yeah,
Fair enough.
that's
Yep. So all of this was all the fun stuff. What was um, the the lowest part of grad life for you? Like,
yeah. For me, it was definitely the job search, and I think
mhm,
especially even during along the course, it becomes so you are under so much pressure to find a job. But even then, the courses or the coursework, the projects, the exams, they kind of overtake that particular feeling. But
mhm,
especially after April, when all your course ends, and then you still they're without a job. I think that was the month of May and June. I think that particular 1.5 months, that was kind of a bit, I would surely say it was the lowest point in my life, because people are getting jobs, they're moving out of the comfort zone.
yep.
I was among the last, I think so, last 6 to 7 people who were yet
How many were they? What was that out of?
72, I think, out of the,
Okay.
yeah, 72 was the strength. So I think we were left. But the thing that, what did that lowest point also teach me is that you have to be patient enough, because I was
True.
taking a switch in my career stream. It
Hmm.
wasn't easy that I could go ahead and having 3 years of an experience in a particular stream and coming here and trying to sell yourself in a different make or something. That's not easy. So I had to build on my skills. I had to develop a way to speak to people, network with people. So that's definitely, I knew that it's going to be painstaking, it's going to take its time, there is going to be the downs to it. And that 1.5 months surely taught me all of that, I think so. And the grit and determination to come out of it. And think so. Yeah, when I got the job offer, I was really happy that I would get a chance to stick around Cincinnati for a longer
Yep.
period of time, experience what I couldn't during my grad life or something, take the city, make the city a part of me. And I think so. Yeah, I think there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So that particular
Nice.
1 month or so, it was a bit
It
difficult,
was pretty
but
all.
still,
Yep.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad that things worked out
yeah, definitely.
in such a way that you were able to be a part of the real life also,
Sure.
but we're also able to enjoy the student life still, kind of, sort of, in a certain way. Okay. Uh, what do you think you would say was your greatest achievement throughout your throughout this journey of having been through grad school? This could be something as tangible as, say, I got my degree
Yeah.
done, or so it could be something personal to you, something which could seemingly be trivial, but to you it means a whole lot. So if you were to put a pin on something and said this was my greatest achievement, what would it be?
For me, it was a survival instinct. Like having
Mhm.
never experienced hostel life before, being a day scholar back home and pampered by your parents. Like I still remember, you get up at 8 a.m. in the morning and your mom stands with a cup of filter coffee for you, right? And all of a sudden, the root shock, like you have to fend for yourself, you have to pay your own
Yeah.
bills, you have to cook for yourself,
You have to make your own
and
filter coffee.
filter own filter coffee and everything. So that's something think that itself is a big achievement for me. Like
Hmm,
leaving back
hmm.
the comfort of hope, coming here and trying to manage stuff. I think so. And
So
at
would
the
you say
same
this
time,
was, sorry, go on.
no, at the same time, like you are not living a lonely life, a lone life there. You have to mingle with different your
Hmm.
roommates. So you have to make sure that it helps, like it suits all of the four of us or how many of our people are staying with you, the kind of so the inclusiveness and everything. So I think it really, yeah, that was a big achievement for me.
So I guess to sum that up, that would be personal growth and development outside that comfort zone
Sure,
would be the
definitely.
greatest
Yeah,
achievement. Sweet,
definitely.
sweet. Well
Yeah.
said. Um, Now, having been through all of that, I'm sure you would have had a chance to meet a whole lot of people, different kinds of individuals from all walks of life. People who've worked, people who are students still, people who are from different countries, people who are from your same state. Uh, Having met a very diverse group of people, if you had to pick somebody that you admired in grad school, who would that be?
Oh, admire. Definitely. For me, it's one person, and I think so. That would be Professor Andrew Harrison.
Hmm.
So he was our database professor, and I think the sheer dedication and commitment towards his teaching and everything is unparalleled, I suppose. One of my, like when I really I understood the value of what he's putting in and the sweat behind us is like it was a spring semester, and I think so. Yeah, it's pretty cold having, and it was a Saturday morning 8 a.m. class for
Ooh,
us.
weekend,
Uh,
8 a.m., not fun.
yeah. So I think walking away or catching a shuttle and going to class, I think we are almost half asleep and everything. And here is this Professor Bobley taking the class and everything like, and one fine like think one flex into the semester or a couple of weeks into the semester, we realized that he had went through a personal loss. It's a tragic loss on a Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, and here he was on a Saturday morning again taking a class, and he didn't say anything throughout the class. He revealed
Right.
it at the end of the class,
Hmm.
and that's when I think it was not just me. A lot of people felt ashamed about that, like the commitment that this man shows towards teaching is something that we have to like. If we want to be something in life, that is
That's the
the
kind of dedication you want to have, right?
character that you
Hmm.
need to build upon, and it's like
Yep.
it's not, we cannot call him a workaholic or not having taking like it's a personal timeout or something. It's not about that. That would be into a very different, I think so, direction of discussion.
Hmm,
But
hmm.
yeah, that is something that we definitely, so I admire him, and I definitely,
Yeah,
it's a
you tend to take a
fantastic.
step back because as students, you would look at an 8 a.m. class, you're like,
Yeah,
dude, I am half asleep. It's
exactly.
cold outside. I don't want to do this. And yet,
Yes,
here's
yeah,
this person who's dealing with personal losses. he's there 8 a.m. and he's there to teach you. So you're like, dude, I'm
We are
complaining
too
for no
privileged,
reason.
too entitled to
Exactly.
be even sitting here across
Right.
the table, across him, and this is the least we could do is have a wide open eyes and pay at the least.
Give him your attention so that you can focus in class. Nice. That's well
Definitely.
said. Well said.
Yeah.
Um, Now, having been through all that, how did you think your grad life prepared you to get to where you are today?
Oh, I think it has laid a very strong foundation about like it taught me like you don't have always hard work, not always hard work pays well, it's smart work as well. So we had
Hmm.
to prioritize which subject, like if I want to go into, like if I'm seeking a career in analytics, then which are the subjects that I should really focus on, which subject, like definitely I need to get some good grades, it's not that I need to do very bad in that,
Hmm.
but at the same time choose a couple of subjects or credits, although they might be very difficult for you. Like I personally had two credits because of which my grades did suffer, but I learned a lot from that. So it inculcated in me like if you want to do something, make sure that you face it, like you take that particular as a challenge. It doesn't matter irrespective of the outcome, where you might excel, you might not excel in that, but then the attitude. So definitely that helped me a lot. And like, and the grad life, letting go of some steam when you're not needed, so taking a chill pill. And I think there are various aspects, not just from a professional career way, the way it has molded me into an individual. I think there has been different aspects that has helped me grow into a thorough professional or
Hmm.
individual today. So
Nice.
yeah,
And given the fact that or you were an international student, you are an international here in the US now, if you had one piece of advice for all the international students coming in, what would that be?
definitely try to get involved in as much on campus activities as possible, because I think the biggest problem for international students is they are still in a shell
Hmm.
and they lack this networking skill, or it's not a lack, but it's kind of more of an hesitant approach towards it. So breaking this ice or this barrier with fellow friends from international community or different people, I think so it helps you speak freely, at least put your
Hmm.
ideas across. And that thing would surely help when you're trying to build connections in your professional life as well. So that would be my only one piece of advice. Like education wise, subject wise, everyone bounds to do really well, so that's not a
Yep.
problem, that's not a concern. But these are the all-round development that we seek, that we want to. And one more thing is that for me, like get together with like-minded people is like
Hmm.
very important. But like-minded doesn't mean that you stick to someone who has the same culture or background like you. It's like their opinions might be different, but yes, their approach on a particular thing will be the same. So make sure you pick your group carefully, you interact with as many diverse groups as possible, have interactions, discussions, arguments, everything. And I think that's what is going to build a character out of you.
Nice, love it. I think that's a great way to end up. Abhinav, thank you so
Sure.
much for your time. This was fun. This was fun to chat with you, talk to you about a bunch of stuff that I'm pretty sure we would have seen happen, seen unfold in front of us. But to sit back after having been
Exactly.
out of grad school for a little bit to kind of revisit, like you said, take some steps back, go down the memory lane, and talk about things that you don't
Definitely.
necessarily talk about, don't necessarily get to reflect on. So, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sid, for this opportunity. And it really felt reconnecting back with you and back with our alma mater days. And it felt good. Thank you so much. And I enjoyed my evening with you.
Pleasure's mine, man. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sure.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.